ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another fantastic weekend of Formula 1 racing here on the EGL Extreme Gaming League. I'm Tipsy Bob, and joining me on the mic is my trusty sidekick and my good friend, Dad Bats. Covering all the action today, we're going to be covering everywhere from Monaco, Singapore, Abu Dhabi, and Bahrain, all across the world, all across the country. We have a full grid lined up, some of the best talent around the world. We have plucked them from all corners of the earth to give you some of the greatest racing experience footage you'll ever see in your lifetime. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the EGL. There we go, once and all the cars are all lining up on the grid. They're all getting ready. The drivers will be focusing on their first corner. Are they going to take it? What are they going to do? Is they going to go deep? Are they going to go? Who knows? Let's break down, away we go! DRS is still active, and if Timo wants to get this moved on, he's gonna need to use this DRS zone, because I have a feeling... Oh no, Timo, cancel the first, you're in the traction zone! I tried to mount up another overtake on 23 mark. This is right, 3 mark. It's off the track! Timo crashed under the pressure once again!
And Timo are oh, it's the pit! Oh no!
Be live. Hello everyone, my name is Shiv, and welcome to the TOSRL Season 8 Tier 2 Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps, or Francorchamps in Belgium. Spa-Francorchamps, the one of the most technical tracks on the calendar, one of the longest, if not the longest track on the calendar, boasting a 5 kilometers in tracks, while majority of F1 tracks are 1 to 2 kilometers. Spa has the shortest laps, but it does compensate that with the long turns and the most iconic turns as well. You've got a Rouge, you've got the bus stop section, and Spa is just an iconic track filled with great triumph and great tragedy. With great triumph comes the maiden win of Charles Leclerc when he was, well, no, he's still at Ferrari, but when he, eventually didn't have his first win. And we have great tragedy in the form of Pierre Gasly getting demoted from Red Bull to Toro Rosso, um, and the tragic life of Antoine Hubert being lost in the Formula 2 race. However, today we are watching the Formula 1 racers within Tier 2, and I will be within the box to help commentate to this. So first of all, a couple of cars that have gone out at the moment. I am furious. Hopefully he drives with a very calm and decent demeanor within this, because we all know that if you drive angrily, then a lot of bad things can happen. You're more prone to making mistakes. But currently he is the first car, rather, I think it's Fropsy? Yes, Fropsy, that's how you say it. Fropsy in the Renault is the first car on track and is the first car on clean air. Currently we're seeing soft tires within this qualifying session, and he'll be the one to beat. However, um, Spa is quite known for big invalidations and big time penalties, especially here, going through, let's say, Sector 2 and Sector 3 most predominantly at this point. But currently, as we stand, we're getting all the tires warmed up at this point, and we should see how everything plans out within this aspect. Yeah, we're just looking for a couple of cars to go on track. Currently, we've got the Renaults, both the Red Bulls, McLaren, both the AlphaTauris, the Racing Points, the Haas's, and the Mercedes, both Mercedes, as well as one of the Williams cars. So pretty much, I think nearly all of the grid has exited the pits at the moment and is currently getting ready to start their flying laps. So currently, as we see, all but soft tires at the moment. This is going to be extremely interesting for I Am Fortune and Fropsy, because Fropsy and I Am Fortune are extremely close to each other. But we will see what happens within this aspect. They have left enough space, thankfully, so everyone can have their own flying lap at the moment. But currently, as it stands, we're going to go on board with Fropsy at the moment, who's just going through turns 1, now turns through 2, and now turns 3 through Eau Rouge, a slow Haas at the moment, but I think that's just him slowing down. Going through Rouge takes it very nicely. Be sure not to take too much, otherwise you can spin and end up into the barrier, like the fellow Renault of Kevin Magnussen did back in 2016, going through turns 4, 5, and 6 now at the moment. Very heavy braking point. You can very easily lock up here. We saw a wonderful overtake when Alex Albon was first promoted to Red Bull with Daniel Ricciardo and Albon right around here at turn 7, going through now to turn 8. Big, long, not really long straight, but decently sized straight. Into turn 9. This is a very famous corner within Spa, and especially because it's a big downhill spiral. This is where we saw Antonio Giovinazzi crash in the Alfa Romeo last year. Turns 13, 14 now entering sector 3 as he crosses turns 14 at the moment now. Now this is a big long straight, so you got to keep your foot planted. You can very easily invalidate here if you do touch over the curbs, but currently the stands going through sector 3 at the moment. Now, very heavy braking point here. Can you brake as late as you dare? He's going to do about the 50-meter mark and goes through turns 18 and 19. The time to beat currently from Fropsy in the Renault is a 142.9. That's pole position, just taken away right now by I Am Furious in the Mercedes. Goes about half a second faster. XT to P in the Racing Point was a 143.6, a decent lap from the Racing Point. As an interesting fact, the Racing Points were actually very suited to Spa, as SLR Ocean Chief goes in 6th place, as we have Sainz in the Ferrari. So Sainz and Sainz, both in the Ferrari, so both going P4 currently at the moment. Tosi in the McLaren sets pole position at the moment, or on provisional pole with a 142.1. Can that be beaten? Most probably with a high 141, but we'll see currently what happens. As we get on, we have Wimpy, SLR Wimpy, within the Red Bull, faring a lot better than his teammate with a 142.7, only about 6/10 away from pole position at the moment, so pretty decent. And as we have, I Am Furious in the Mercedes goes P2. We've got Wimpy goes P3, Froppy goes P4. Shrey takes Wimpy's P3 on the medium compound tires, only about a 10th down from the leader. That's going to be interesting, and he's going to be one to look out for in the Williams. If he can get onto the soft compound tires, most likely easily claim pole position, but at the moment, with the medium compound tires, he's going to go very long within the GP. Or we might potentially see something akin to a Verstappen and Ricciardo situation at this year's GP, where, Verstappen actually ran away with the race on the medium tires due to the pace of his Red Bull car. But currently at the moment, we've got the Williams in P3 on the medium compound tires. So very well done from Shrey. If he goes into softs, can easily claim pole position within this aspect. So currently we've got about 11 times. We've got short qualifying, so there's no Q1, Q2, Q3. It's just a couple laps, and that is it. Saying that though, we've got Letosi is currently still in pole position, followed by Formula Chris, who goes at 142.4. Very well done from him. Sainz gets demoted down to P8. Justin the Racer in the fellow Mercedes, he goes P9 at the moment, so very well done from him. Larson in the AlphaTauri, P10, so just is on another flying lap, presumably on the same compound of soft tires. No, I think he is just going to retire to his box. If I'm tiled, or tilled, as you could say, in the Red Bull. Not faring as well as his teammate. It is down in P11. We've got I Am Bergete in the Alfa Romeo. He's in P12. XTXP is in P13. Eddie in the Haas, currently on an outlap at the moment, just going through sector 2, is currently P14 with no time set. However, I think the lap is looking quite decent at the moment. Very good taking of that corner within turns 13 and 14 at the moment. Jonah, our silence has just validated his lap, so the fellow has one of them is on a flying lap, one of them is back into the pits, presumably for a new set of soft tires. He's currently validated his lap. SLR and JJ in the fellow AlphaTauri, trying to replicate what his fellow teammate did. Larson currently in P10, he is currently in P17. A little bit of a oversteer, hugging that curb into turns, I think it is 10 and 11, but you think you can go very wide if you do hug that a little bit too much. Shaka FT in the fellow Alfa Romeo has also invalidated his lap, so we're seeing from 14 all the way to 18. The last 4 drivers within this grid are have only primarily invalidated their laps due to the fact that they are just careless and just gets on the curb and no other crashes. So it's a very relatively clean qualifying session, as you should expect from Tier 2. The amount of professionalism within these drivers is amazing, without going to see any crazy moments, but that is what we live for as Formula 1 fans. Eddie going on a subsequent flying lap. I think he just did one more warm-up lap and one more flying lap. Speaking of which, there's not going to be too much of an opportunity to more warm-up laps, as the circuit is so long. You most likely have to push on your outlap, which is going to be detrimental to the tires, especially here at Spa. But currently going through the moment, Letosi has just gone out of the pits. He's trying to extend his advantage because he knows that Shrey in the Williams goes onto the soft compound tires, then he's going to lose pole position right off the bat. I Am Furious, so the Mercedes attacking the the Renault-powered McLaren this year, the Mercedes-powered McLaren next year. I Am Furious is going for another outlap at the moment, and now going for another flying lap. So can he claim provisional pole position. There's about 8 minutes left in the session, so we will see. So that's a couple more laps within the session. Formula Chris and Shrey are currently in the pits. We've got Wimpy and Propsy currently on an out lap. We've only got a couple of individuals in the pits who are happy with their times, however. Especially in the second and third kind of runs here at Spa, it'll get a lot faster than usual. The main person to look out for is Shrey. If he does go out on those soft tires, he can easily, I'd say, claim pole position if he doesn't invalidate his lap or doesn't spin. The only caveat to this is he currently is in a very good position, being the only medium runner out of the bunch and being so high up the grid as well. So potentially can take Latosi and I am Furious to pole position, attacking into the first or second corner, and maybe even Eau Rouge having the medium could be a hugely beneficial strategy. May not just want to pit out at the moment. We've gotten Sanks just demoted into P10. Eddie in the Haas goes P5 for the Haas team. So very well done. RR Silent, his teammate down in P17, who has not set a time, going on a flying lap now. So hopefully he can replicate what his team is currently doing. SLR and JJ gets demoted from P5 down to P6. So faring a lot better than his teammate Larson, who's currently in P12 and was in P10 at one point. So he's just heading back to the pits now. We've got Eddie also, I think, on a subsequent flying lap as well, just trying to improve his time, so trying to further extend his advantage, potentially even get to the top 4, maybe even the top 3 at this point. He does have the pace for it, and potentially could see him do that, but we do have a slow, I guess, start-finish section at the moment with turns 18 and 19. Everyone's just trying to slow down and try to get that optimal exit, as you should. But currently, at the moment, we've gotten everyone but about Jonah and PR Silent, or RR Silent and Shaka, who have set their lap. So if we go on board with RR Silent, who I believe is currently on a flying lap, the game does not want to work with me, so I guess we'll just manually go through that. RR Silent just currently going through Sector 2 right now, and as we see, the rain potentially might be coming. The sky is looking a bit dull, but there's about 5 minutes till qualifying, and majority of individuals have set their laps on the soft, so there's no reason to set their laps on the medium or intermediate tires at the moment. Speaking of which, tire situation does look like majority of softs, as majority of individuals do want to gain quite a lot of places, and we've seen carnage at Spa, especially if you look at Romain Grosjean's crash or Fernando Alonso's crash, as Larson in the AlphaTauri gets provisional pole at the moment, goes a 142.1, so very well impressive from him. Is that going to potentially get Shea in the Williams out of the pits? We are not sure, but he is currently in a very good position. Currently, Shaka is on a hot lap at the moment, going through Sector 3 at the moment. We've got Jonah in the Ferrari just going into the pits. Our Silent wasn't happy with that lap, or invalidated, going into pits now as well. Shaka braking as late as he dares. That's going to be a really conservative break, but all he needs is a lap time to get somewhere decently above the board. It's currently looking okay for Shaka. Goes a 143, only enough for P16, so a lot better than he was in P18, last of the grid, but 2 positions are still 2 positions. Just because you're qualifying doesn't mean it can be the race. But however, as I said, that just in the racer, in the Mercedes, a 141.9. So I did predict that it was going to be a high 141 or a low 142 that we'll be seeing as provisional pole. But currently, as it stands, we've gotten about majority of these runners on these soft compound tires. These tires are going to degrade pretty quickly. The only 2 runners on the medium compound are Shrey, and we've got IM GPT in in the Alfa Romeo currently at the moment, going on a flying lap, trying to improve his time so he can get those medium compounded tires running on a very low fuel mode mixer. I don't think that is he's improving his time. I think he's just coming back to the pit at this pace, but it may very well be wrong. Sky is looking gloomy and doomy, so we're gonna have to get those laps in as quick as possible, as we might see some light rain affecting the laps. But currently, at the moment, just in the racer, currently in pole position, as I was right. I am Bergete, is coming back to the pits in the Alfa Romeo. Currently, at the moment, we have Shrey finally on those soft compound tires, making that lap at the moment, that out lap. It's gonna be extremely interesting to see if he can claim pole position. I think he can, or at least get into the top 3 quite easily. as I feel like he does. If he has the pace for 2/10 of the pole at the time on the mediums, he will most likely have the pace for the soft compound tires. As long as he doesn't invalidate, that'll be the best thing to do. But currently, as it stands, we've only got a couple more minutes to get their laps in. People are getting to exit for their final laps, not only because of the weather, but also because the track is super, super long. So we might potentially see people have their last and final laps here at Spa and use their soft or medium tires, whatever compound of choice they would prefer to use. The individuals of Jonah and RSI potentially, I'm not saying this is for certain, but potentially might have to use the intermediate tires. But there is about 2 minutes to qualifying, so I doubt that it's going to happen. But there is always a possibility here at Spa, always a chance of a wet weather race, and it's always an exciting one. If always an exciting one, if it's a wet weather race. But currently at the moment, we're going on board with Shrey in the Williams, taking turn 1 now is going through turns 2 and 3. So currently going down the long straight. Now turns 2 and 3. Now up to Eau Rouge. Speed trap at the moment. Activate DRS right about now. Very well done. A little bit late on the DRS, but that's okay. Just spend more time getting up Eau Rouge more safely. A break as late as you dare. That's pretty good and no lockups. That's obviously a big positive. Taking that apex very well. Nearly spun out the car. Actually took a bit too much of that curb, but luckily has not validated his lap. Turns 6, 7, and now turns 8. Just going through turn 8 right now. Be sure not to invalidate. You can invalidate quite easily on those curbs. Now turns 9, 10, and now 11, going through sector 2 at the moment, going through what I believe is the bus stop. Okay, no, that is not correct. That's 12. That's turns 12 and 13 at the moment. How is that Ferrari going to affect him? Hopefully he moves out of the way and does not ruin his qualifying lap. Invalidated though. Yikes. Speaking of a Ferrari though, much like Spa of last year, a Ferrari takes pole position this year, and as I predicted, the rain is coming, so that's going to mean a no-go for Shrey on the mediums. Has invalidated his lap. Extremely unfortunate from the Williams driver, but nonetheless is starting on the mediums and as well as on the top 10 and had the pace for it. But did get those laps in, luckily before the rain did start to pour. So currently just going to round off his lap, potentially see what time he was going to get, but was not going to be good as he did slow down. And rain is also slowing him down. Some light rain at the moment. Hopefully we'll see some light rain at the race. And yeah, should be very, very, very good to go. Currently as it stands, we've got about 8 seconds till qualifying, and we've got only a couple of people on lap. Shrey is going for a subsequent lap again, so RR Silence actually takes pole position at the moment in the Haas car at the last moment with a 141.3. Is Shrey going to beat it within the Williams? I sincerely doubt it. Jonah is in P2, I am Fierce in P3, Latosi P4, Justin the Racer in P5, Larson P6, has retired from session, Eddie in P7, Formula Chris is doing an outlap on the Renault and currently in P8. Shrey, trying to improve on his time, has subsequently fueled for 2 runs in the rain, in the softs. All odds are against him, but he could potentially be a candidate for pole position. A slow half moment, I think, just moving out of the way, and nothing major. Latoy as he goes past with Shrey. SLR Wimpy currently on another lap, P10. I am Brigitte in P11 for the Alfa Romeo. SLR and JJ in the AlphaTauri, P12. Ferropsi in the Renault, P13 XT XP in the Racing Point, just coming back into pits. P14 SLR Ocean Chief, currently just going through turns 8 and 9 at the moment. P15 Sanks in P16, Tilt in P17. Shaka on another lap has set not too good qualifying time. The field's only split by about 2 seconds, which is pretty good considering within league racing. And currently we've got Shrey going very slow. I think he just underfueled himself quite a bit, but does and manage to get into the top 10. At was a 142 from Shrey, now just barely is in the top 10. So I think it was just the rain that was really hindering him. Otherwise, he could have put that car potentially on pole position. But top 10 isn't too bad, especially since he is starting on those medium compound of tires. So it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens within that aspect. Currently, at the moment, RR Silent is, I think, trying to also defend his pole position, but is actually just currently going back into the pits due to the fact that he has some low fuel. So should be interesting. The Ocean Chief in the Racing Point abandons his lap and goes into pits and crashes. So much like the highlight video, we have another crash. That'll be one to add into the highlight intros, and yeah, should be good. So qualifying is over. Majority of cars have gotten back to the pits or crossed the finish line. I Am Furious has also gone back to the pits, not happy with his lap, and really unfortunate for people who couldn't claim pole position, but are as it stands are silent in the Haas, doing a very wonderful job. Has claimed pole position, especially since the rain before the rain started, which was a big mega bonus for him. So I don't think anyone is on that lap, but we've got about 15 seconds till qualifying starts, and well, qualifying ends rather, and should be good. Alright, your grid looks like this. Aura Silent in the Haas lines up P1, Jonah and Ferrari P2, I Am Furious in the Mercedes P3, Latozzi in the McLaren P4, I Am Bergetti in the Alfa Romeo P5, Justin Racer in the Mercedes P6, Larson in the AlphaTauri P7, Eddie in the Haas P8, Formula Chris in the Renault goes P9, Schreier goes P10 in Williams, Wimpy goes P11 for the Red Bull, SLR and JJ goes P12 in the AlphaTauri, Fropsy in the Renault goes P13, XTP goes P14 in the Racing Point, joins his teammate Ocean Chief in the Racing Point in P15, as Sainz in the Ferrari goes P16, Tild in the Red Bull goes P17, and Shaka in the Alfa Romeo goes P18, rounding off your grid. Let's get to the race, everyone. Radio, so we've got about 25 seconds till we have the formation lap on, and should be very, very good within that aspect. So about 9 seconds till the grid starts and a couple of formation laps. Currently, the weather is looking a little bit doom and gloom, so whoever predicted a wet race, they might get a wish. So let's get the telemetry up as per usual, and let's see what happens within this aspect. Currently, as it stands, top 10 minus Shrey have the soft compound tires, and from Shrey downwards, all the way until Tild is the medium compound, so everyone's opted for the medium, and Tild has opted for the soft, and Shaka has opted for the medium. So pretty much universal soft to medium. No one has risked it and gone on the hard, because you do need quite a lot of, speed here, especially at coming up Eau Rouge is where you need the speed, and especially where you need the grip at the moment. But currently, as it stands, uh, that might not be the case, as we might see some wet tires, as we have potentially some dark gray clouds in the sky. So we might see some intermediates being put on potentially, but we shall see within this aspect. So it's going to be an extremely crazy race, and currently all the cars are trying to warm up their tires at the moment. So we've got our Silent, followed by Jonah, followed by I Am Furious being the top three. So Haas, the Ferrari, and the Mercedes, followed by McLaren, followed by an Alfa Romeo, another Mercedes, an AlphaTauri, a Haas, a Renault, a Williams, a Red Bull, a AlphaTauri, a Renault, both of the Racing Points, a Ferrari, a Red Bull, and an Alfa Romeo. So pretty much we've got the entire I guess squad, I guess you could say, but minus the Williams driver, and minus, I think that would be Ferrari, Red Bull, Williams. I can't tell at this point, man. I'm just trying to focus on the cars just going quite fast at the moment. But currently, as it stands, we're just waiting for the lights, or rather for them to make their way into the lights. Temperatures are cold, so you're going to have to warm up their tires quite adequately before they get to the grid. So predicted pit stop strategy powered by Amazon is a one stop, so it's either the mediums from lap 8 to 9 or the hard tires from lap 7 to 9, which will take you until the end of the race. Currently as it stands, all the cars are lining up the grid, and as we have RR Silent lining up on pole position at the moment, followed by the rest of the grid. I do believe the last cars have officially lined up. And it's 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it is indeed lights out, and away we go. And our Silent does get a good start, but Jonah gets an even better start trying to attack our Silent into the first corner. Does try to go down the outside, but does fail indeed. Le Tozy tries to get within that, but I Am Furious says no thank you very much, and I think we'll stick with the current 3 leaders at the moment. A little bit of a grid change, but that's okay. Majority of people have kept it clean, especially through Eau Rouge, which is pretty vital currently at the moment. Jonah trying to attack RR Silent, but I Am Furious trying to attack both of them. And Jonah does try to go on the outside. Is he going to break late into turn, I would say, 5 and 6? Yes, he does. And that's the fastest first sector at the moment as it goes purple. So Jonah has taken the lead from R Silent will want to get that lead back at the moment as we have Formula Chris and Larson swapping positions. A little bit of oversteer from Silent, but that does mean that Latosi actually gets into P3. I'm Gerbit in the Alpha Romeo getting to P4 just in the racer has lost a couple positions, and so is I Am Furious, who's lost many positions, was in P3, I think had a little bit of oversteer, is now in P9, but is going to hope to recover back to that. So currently, at the moment, a lot of clean racing at the moment. So Justin and we have I Am Brigitte currently battling it out. A little bit of contact between the Mercedes and Alfa Romeo at the moment, but currently the Mercedes does make the better of that. Justin the Racer goes up into P4, so very well done from Latosi currently at the moment. P3 in the McLaren. And currently there is a yellow flag, and that is Tropsy in the Renault. I think he is spun. And let's see for wing damage. He does not have wing damage, maybe some light wing damage, but currently at the moment, he is going to go potentially back to the pits as his tires might be absolutely burning. So Jonah rounds the line, followed by RSL, followed by Latosi, followed by Justin Racer, followed by Amjite, and followed by a big of a crash as we have, I think, someone just dropping rapidly down the grid. That is SLR. NJG was qualified quite well for the AlphaTauri team, and currently now is in P17. So I'm seeing quite a bit of grid change at the moment, especially with DRS and potentially what conditions. We will see what happens with this aspect. But Jonah has already built up quite a bit of a gap to RR Silent, but RR Silent is saying no thank you, I would like my lead back, and is currently trying to chew away the gap. I think DRS is going to help him quite a bit, but Jonah is trying to conserve everything and hitting all the apexes flawlessly. And at the moment, he is in the lead of the race. Latosi P3 is just going to maintain that position from Justin the Racer, who is a very, very hungry Mercedes at the moment, as I Am Furious in P9 tries to get past everyone. So Larson in P8, Formula Chris in P7, Eddie in P6, and I Am Brigitte in P5. So it should be very interesting to see what happens. Currently at the moment, we've gotten about no pit stops yet, no wing damage at the moment. We've gotten Chupsky in the Renault. He's catching up to the pack, but for how long? And will there be a gap? I think there's already quite a bit of a gap as we have SLR NJJ currently overtaking Ocean Chief going into P16 now into P15. So a lot of people did qualify high. They actually did lose quite a bit of positions, but it's okay. This does happen in Spa. The best thing you can do is try to make character out of it and try your damnedest to do what you really can. Jonah leads lap of this race, but currently at the moment we've got this really cool thing called DRS just being enabled, but for how much longer due to the wet weather? So DRS is currently enabled. We've got RR Silent currently in the Haas, who has set the fastest lap of the race. So that's going to be quite an interesting tale to Ferrari at the moment. So Jonah currently going through turns 1, 2, and now going through Eau Rouge. RR Silent follows him up in the Haas in P2 at the moment, but currently chewing away at his 1.2 second gap. Did chew away initially within turns 1 and 2, but I think is just the overtake one. He's just gotta either do an undercut or do an overcut within this aspect. He is too far for DRS range. Who isn't too far for DRS range is Latosi. If he can gain about, I would say, yeah, nearly a tenth would be enough for him. He could definitely get within DRS range of RS Silent and claim that P2 and potentially even get the race win. Just in the racer in P4, we're seeing a little bit of a battle between the Williams and the Mercedes. We haven't seen a battle like this since ages in real life Formula 1. The Williams does make it better of it in Shreya, up from P10 to P9 on those medium compound tires. Those mediums will last quite a bit longer as Ocean Chief and Wimpy. So Ocean Chief does go up into P15, and rightfully so. What a wonderful mover take from Ocean Chief, and that's going to leave Wimpy and NJJ and Fropsy absolutely distraught in the I guess lower half of the grid. At the moment, we're seeing a little bit of gap perform, but not too much. The fact that one small mistake can cost the lead of this race. Currently on board with Justin the Racer. Currently is in P4, trying to change Latosi in P3. So RO Silent trying to chase rather Jonah in P1 at the moment. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Hopefully the rain can play in people's favor, as I think the clouds are clearing up so that it is no sign of rain at the moment. So we're going to currently stick with dry tires. However, the temperatures could fluctuate quite rapidly within this aspect, as we may see the tires get extremely hot or extremely cold. Extremely hot due to overuse and extremely cold due to the fact that it's quite cold outside. Not in real life per se, but more so speaking of that, Sector 1, I think that's one of the Alfa Romeo's, and that is Shaka, who has just crashed and potentially even made contact with Fropsy in the Renault. So he's just crashed at the moment, and it's very unfortunate for Shaka in the Alfa Romeo. I think he was already at the back of the grid, so having this is going to make his tires pretty warm. Looking at the cameras, we see no visible wing damage at the moment, so that's good news to hear. R Silent has taken quite a big bite, about 2/10 of a bite out of Jonah's time to the gap of him, so he is trying to, I guess you could say, reel in, much like a fish, much like a fishing rod within this aspect, and going quicker and quicker and quicker to get that DRS range. So he's got to stay within a second of him. Shreya in P8 for the Williams team is going to go for that P7 on Formula Chris in the Renault. So I think he's just going to wait for that main straight of turns 15, 16, 17, pretty much just sector 3 at the moment, but unfortunately there is no DRS, and so potentially we could see an overtake into Eau Rouge, but we could see Shreya potentially winning from all of this. He's a wonderful driver, just qualified on those mediums, and it's going to make time a little bit harder for him. But RR Silent currently has just lost that 2/10 to Jonah at the moment, but how late is he going to break? Not too late, but that was pretty conservative. Jonah already off into the distance with his the Ferrari Works team, currently building up a 1.5 second gap to RR Silent, which is going to be extremely frustrating for him, trying to not only get back the lead, but also trying to stay within DRS range of him as well. RR Silent using all of his overtake, and Jonah conserving it a little bit more than RR Silent is anyway. The Tozy in P3 is just going to manage that P3, just defending from Justin the Racer, who's eager to get that last remaining podium position at the moment. I am Brigitte in P5 in the Alfa Romeo. Could potentially take advantage of this, but we shall see within that aspect. Currently, as it stands, he's currently in P5, but if something happens potentially with the leaders, we could see him rising up to the top 3 position, but driving very well at the moment. Eddie in P6 for the Haas team. Can he do a little bit better than his teammate? We shall see what happens. SR Ocean Chief and Wimpy both get time penalties for multiple warnings. So that could be contact, that could be track limits. We shall see what happens. Formula Chris in P7. We've got Shreya in P8. Very much closing in, but it's really a waiting game right now. Not really a reason to overtake, as there's lap 5 of 22, so he's going to be having to pit from those mediums to the soft compounded tires, and feel like he does have the pace. Just having Formula Chris held up behind him is kind of unfortunate. Not saying that he's not a bad driver, just more so saying that he would most likely rather be in free air, as any driver would within this situation. Currently lap 6 of 22, so you see some undercuts and potentially see some overcuts at the moment. So no one has pitted. We're just waiting for these soft runners to pit mainly. So the predicted strategy is saying from lap 7 to 9 is when we'll see potentially some pit stops, but that is not really the case for all the races, as we may see people going a lot longer and a lot shorter. But RR Silence does finally get DRS, and there's a yellow flag in Sector 1, and that is Wimpy in the Red Bull. I think he's also spun, and that is indeed a little bit of wing damage, and he has retired from the session. A little bit frustrated from the session, just parking off to the side. So that's one Red Bull or out of the last year's Grand Prix, and this is another Red Bull from this year's Grand Prix. Wimpy does retire from the race, making him the first retirement, but most likely due to context that the stewards will most likely have to take a look at that at the moment. Currently lap 6 at the moment, and we're seeing RS Silent catching up to Jonah, so they get it within DRS range of him, so that's good. And as the sky is looking a lot more blue, so a lot less gloomy and doomy within this aspect, and currently as it stands, there's going to be no need for those intermediate tires unless it goes extremely dark and potentially even does a heavy rain or light rain. At the moment, Justin Racer up in the P3 has overtaken Latosi in P4, so very well done for that within that aspect. I am Brigitte is looking up to the inside of Latosi as he does try to go down the inside. How late can he brake? Just late enough, potentially does get the inside line and does move up into P5. Latosi does get DRS though on I am Brigitte, and so but I am Brigitte also gets DRS, so it's both a DRS train. We see Latosi potentially go on the inside. No, we do not, and we have Ambergente currently up into P4 trying to now chase Jack the Racer in the Mercedes. So it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens within that aspect. Currently, RS Silent trying to chase Jonah, so the two leaders trying to chase each other. Jonah is helpless, but only can be helped with his ERS, and now we have RS Silent. He's closing it. He's closing it. Is he going to be enough for him? No, but he has improved by 36 milliseconds, so that's at least something. Potentially might catch him in a couple more laps, but as it stands, there is a yellow flag in Sector 1, Sector 2, and that is Eddie in the Haas who has spun off. I think there was contact with one of the Williams boys and has now spun off, and luckily does rejoin the track safely, but not in the best position, and his tires are burning quite a bit, so that might potentially be a course for retirement, nearly dropping all the way to the back of the grid. My track, and as you can see, his tires are absolutely boiling at the moment, but that's really unfortunate for Eddie. In the last points playing position is now in P16. And RR Silent has indeed left the session, so that might potentially be connection issues, which means that Justin Racer and also I'm Brigitte are going to have ample opportunity to claim some podium places. But currently, as it stands, RR Silent, his AI is driving quite well, and some you might even say better. But currently, as it stands, no activity in the pit lane. Potentially even now, yes, there is activity in the pit lane. Jonah, the leader of the race in the Ferrari, does indeed go to pit and promotes everyone up a place. And what is he going to pit for? I think he is going to pit for the medium compound tire, so he's going to make those mediums last, and that is the first pit stop. Speaking of pit stops, we have Latosi, who's currently in the McLaren. He's pitting from the soft to the mediums, and also Larson in the Alpha Tower pitting from the soft to the, you guessed it, medium tires. So we're seeing quite a lot of activity within the pit lane, so that means Justin the Racer is currently P1. I'm Brigitte, currently battling Justin the Racer up into turns 4, 5, and now 5. So battling to turn 5 gets the job done. I'm Brigitte is new leader of the race, Justin the Racer P2. R Silent, his AI is driving P3. Shreya in P4 in those mediums. How long will those mediums last? We will not really know at this point, but we can't say that there's a hell of a lot of mediums from P6 all the way down to P17 and even P18 with Wimpy retiring. We're seeing all of the medium tires. So, could be a very interesting, could be a very interesting case to see, as we have Shreya doesn't really have the advantage anymore, but does have the advantage of making those mediums go a lot longer than they should. However, those mediums that majority of individuals have pitted for have got to last about 14 laps, so that's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens, and especially with high tire wear laps rather. So yeah, currently Shreya does go into P3, overtaking RR Silent, but RR Silent is on a bot and has disconnected from the game, so that's very unfortunate for him. Wasn't close for a podium, but Shreya does go in P3 at the moment, so very well done from him. We're going to see some activity in the pit lane from him shortly, but for now, it could be quite interesting to see what others are doing pit lane. So we've got I am Jamberbeat, and Shreya is currently taking the lead of the race as I predicted. I am Jamberbeat is currently on the Alfa Romeo, is pitting onto the, I think, medium competitive tires. Formula Chris pitting onto the medium competitive tires. We've also got our Silent in the Haas pitting onto the medium compound of tires, so very well done from him. No hard runners at the moment, so just mediums and softs at the moment. And the last soft runner is I Am Famous. He is famous currently at the moment, just being chased by quite a lot of people. Is now in P2 and is the last soft runner due to the fact that he has not stopped him. But Shreya is currently in P1, and it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens within that aspect. Sorry, I sound so tired. It's just been a very, very long day for me. Currently, as it stands, we've gotten Shreya, then I Am Furious, and XTXP. Two are all Sanks, Jonah. I am Brigitte, as there is a little bit of a battle between I Am and Brigitte and SLR Ocean Chief. We've got Letosi currently in P8. Does take Ocean Chief's position now, goes P7 on the outside. It's a very skilled overtake, so we saw that Ocean Chief didn't try to fight that one, but it was a decent overtake for him, so very well done from him. SLR and JG currently in P10, looking to get that P9, so double that points, and potentially even have a few pints with his mates. We got Foopsy just on the verge of scoring points, currently in P11. Got Larson currently in P12. We have got, oh god, so I was asleep earlier from the Chris, who's just overtaking not only Larson, but his teammate as well, goes P11. So very well done from Formula Chris, but currently Larson has overtaken his teammate. So his teammate Fropsy, who's currently in P11 now, P13. Formula Chris has overtaken, so very well done from him. Currently, I Am Furious, the last soft runner of the bunch, has gone in for a wing change and a new set of medium tires. So everyone on the grid is currently using medium compounded tires. So very well done to them for all that unanimous decision that the mediums are the best compounded tire. Full stop. Currently at the moment, Shreya is in P1, about 12 laps to go within this Grand Prix. Can you believe it? Spa is so long, it doesn't have many laps, so about 12 laps to go within this Grand Prix. So it'll be extremely interesting to see what happens. Currently at the moment, Shreya, followed by XTXP, followed by 2SRL Sanks, followed by Jonah, followed by I Am Brigitte, followed by Letosi, followed by just that racer, followed by Ocean Chief, followed by NJJ, followed by Formula Crisp, rounding up the last points paying positions. Larson, Fropsy, RR Silent, Shaka, I Am Furious, Tilt, Eddie, and Wimpy did not finish the race due to potentially some contact or maybe some anger within that. But currently at the moment, we're seeing quite a lot of penalties, especially with corner cutting, especially with using track limits as well. Is a big one of the penalties here at Spa-Francorchamps. So you have to be extremely careful, especially right now, because you could potentially make up quite a bit of positions at the moment. Currently, as it stands, we've gotten quite a bit of 3-second penalties to be dished out and handed out like free coupons at the moment. Lap 11 out of 22. So looking quite decent for all the racers, keeping it very clean, keeping it very cool and calm and collected within that aspect. So very well done to all the race car drivers. At the moment, Letosi in the McLaren sets the fastest lap, a 1:45.7. So very well done from him. I'm sure that McLaren wouldn't mind an extra point, as I don't think anyone really minds an extra point within that aspect. But currently as it stands, looking at a field that's quite close, that's the bottom half of the field just going through Eau Rouge at the moment now. XTXP is currently in P2, Sainz is currently in P3, Jonah is currently in P4, running off both the Ferraris. I Am Brigitte is trying to get both the Ferraris to be split, is now in P5. We've got Latozzi in P6, so don't discount him out of a potential podium. Tristan the Racer in P7 for the Mercedes, and we've got now we've got I Am Furious and Shaka currently battling it out. So Shaka was at the back of the grid, now is now P15, and I Am Furious was also at the front of the grid, but is now P15, is now 14th rather, due to the fact that he had to make a pit stop, and because the I guess you could say gap to the leaders and whatnot are so close, then that's really unfortunate. But currently, our Silent has joined the race at the moment, so it's going to be extremely interesting for him to get back control of his car at the moment. But thank you very much. Cool. Currently, our Silent in P13, trying to now chase the Renault of Tropsy, trying to now chase the AlphaTauri of Larson, trying to now chase the Renault of Formula Chris. So it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens. Both the Ferraris looking very well within this aspect, and XCXP has just running off the final corner. But I Am Brigitte in the Alfa Romeos looking very serious, setting the fastest lap. Currently purple in all sectors is going to be a bit of a worry for both the Ferraris. As we might see here, very correlating to real life. A lot of the Ferraris as the Alfa Romeo was the fastest car. Fropsy pits onto the hard tires. I think he had already pitted and is now going onto the hard tires. Potentially, that was a broken wing or something. We do not know, but has gone to the hard tires for the last 10 laps of this race. Sector 1, yellow flag, and that is, I think it is one of the Ferraris at the moment. Yes, we are seeing Jonah currently just dropping down the order from P3, and P4 is now P10, the last point position. So potentially, is that contact with his teammate? Is that wing damage? We look on board, we don't see any visible wing damage. Potentially not be some light wing damage at the moment, but currently being chased by Larson in the AlphaTauri. So one Italian team for another is not looking good for the Scuderia at the moment. But currently, his teammate Sainz is currently in P3, so very well done from him, as SLR NJJ gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings on track. But Jonah is an interesting case. We could potentially have seen him not do so well because due to some contact and whatnot, because we saw quite a bit of positions that were lost due to that, but he's most likely going to try to recover and gain those positions back. Speaking of positions, speaking of laps, we have Shreya, who's currently gone into the pits. I was just going to talk about him, just generally, is now pitting on for the soft compound of tire at the moment. So he's going to be the fastest runner of them all. He's going to have to make those tires last about 9 laps. Gets out in P7, so higher than he qualified, rather P8. But SLR and JJ was already on a flying lap on those medium competitive tires on this rather 12 lap old medium, so he's going to have to pit regardless. But Shreya does get DRS. Is reeling. That's a very easy overtake for Shreya. Goes P7, so very well done from the Williams driver at the moment. Currently, SLR Ocean Chief is his next victim, so I think we're just going to see him slice through victims like a hot butter does through knife at the moment. Currently, SLR Ocean Chief, big lockup from him, but that's okay. That does benefit Shreya in the Williams at the moment. Just try to make an overtake, much like Alex Albon did, and does go through turns 10 and 11, makes the overtake. So that's 2 overtakes just from one change of tires, and does get up from P8 to P6 in a matter of a couple of corners. So very well done from Shreya. His next victim now is Justin the Racer, and potentially hearing on the radio comms from Charlie that we might have a very fast Shreya is coming, but the issue mainly is tire wear within this aspect. Is tire wear going to be a problem? Potentially, as we see a lot of individuals pitting by lap 8 or 9, but there is about 9 laps left in these fresher, softer tires, especially if you can get in a good position. It's going to be good, as a majority of the individuals have not pitted yet. We see XTXP in the lead, we see Sangs in the lead, we see Ocean Chief as well, and SLR and JJ. Currently, he's just gone into pits, also going to presumably do that softer compound strategy. So that from medium to soft has worked out brilliantly for Shreya at the moment. So Justin the Racer currently being pursued. He's just going through Eau Rouge at the moment, trying to use as much overtake as possible, seeing the Ferrari and the McLaren battle it out. The McLaren does get the battle better of it, goes P3. How late does he break? Just enough for the Ferrari to back off within that aspect, but how long is it going to be until the Williams wrath? We haven't seen domination like this since the 90s at the moment, so it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens. Currently, Shreya just slicing through his victims at the moment, has already caught up, is only about a second away, rather a second away from Justin the Racer. Can see him just exiting turns 9 and 10 now, going through turns 10 and 11 at the moment, so going very, very, very fast. So that perfect exit, especially with that loads of grip on the soft competitor tire and his extremely fast racing, is going to hugely benefit him. But currently no safety cars, so very, very, very clean racing compared to a lot of other leagues. So very, very well done. As we can see, that Shreya is setting new personal bests, about a second and 1.2 seconds faster within that sector 2. So he's potentially not only going to get some really good points, but also going to get fastest lap of the race. There's a yellow flag in sector 2. That's one of the Renaults, and that is Fropsky in one of the Renaults, and that is potentially wing damage. Is that wing damage? Yes, that is wing damage. He must have spun greatly, or potentially had some contact. His tires are currently burning as I'm going to drive through sector 2 and sector 3. He was looking to get on to the end on those hard tires, and that has really disappointed him. Currently losing positions, XDXP currently in the pit, and we've also gotten Ocean Chief, who was double stacking with Racing Point, but did have enough of a gap for the game not to glitch out, and that's quite decent. And only a second or two more, but that's better in the game glitching. That's a very good double stack, but Sangs does get in front of him, so we're seeing the medium runners go into soft. Potentially, could we see an act like Shreya? We don't know, but Shreya is currently in P4 at the moment, is now getting to P3. Just in the racer, just about a tenth or two away from him at the moment, so it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens within that aspect. So Justin, the racer, trying to defend for his life on the Mercedes in the his worn mediums at the moment. Only about 7 laps to go within this race, and that 7 laps is quite a while, so we could potentially see Shreya catch up quite a bit and potentially even get the win of this race. I'm going to bet right now that he's going to finish within the top 3, but commentator's curse could be a hell of a thing at the moment. But currently, as it stands, we're seeing a little bit of a battle between Jonah and Formula Chris at the moment. So both the Ferrari and Renault. Again, we haven't seen battles like this since the days of Schumacher and Alonso. So it's extremely interesting to see what happens. So Jonah currently trying to catch up on Formula Chris, and Formula Chris on the fresher medium tires. But for how long can he defend for? As we have Shreya, who's just right up the tail. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3, and it's one of the Red Bulls, I think. And I'm mistaken, no, it's one of the Ferraris, and that is 2-0 Sainz, who was in position for a top 5 finish and is now gone spinning and spinning and spinning away into the barriers, and that's really unfortunate for the Ferrari team. His tires, again, much like a lot of individual tires who do spin at Spa, are absolutely burning, but luckily no wing damage, so that's good for him. We've gotten Shreya, who's gotten DRS on Justin, about half a second away, is reeling in like a fish. We can hear the crankles of the gearbox, much like a fishing rod, and still stays P4 at the moment. But Justin Racer is his hands are getting quite sweaty at the moment, most likely due to the fact that he's going to be worried how to defend. So it's like a Pierre Gasly and Carlos Sainz situation at Monza this year. So it's something that individuals have to really keep under the pressure. And that's really what defines a driver. That's really what defines a driver. If they can keep a professional, if they can keep a cool head within these situations, that's going to be a hell of a thing. But as we see right now, Shreya currently trying to get Justin the Racer, trying to get that P3. Has got quite a bit of track to play with, as Spa is the longest track on the calendar at the moment, but currently as it stands, I am Brigitte in the Alfa Romeo trying to defend from Latosi for the lead of the race, but Justin the Racer also trying to defend from Shreya. More important, not even competing for the race lead at this point, but also just trying to to defend from the mighty Williams, the Williams and the Mercedes. But currently, as it stands, getting DRS on every corner at the moment. Shreya is doing extremely well to put that Williams car in P4, potentially even into the podium positions, provided he gets no penalties at the moment. So we've got just the racer. So we've gotten them going from turns, going through sector 1 right now, going through turns 2 and 3. There is a yellow flag, and that is another one of the Ferraris. It's Sainz again who is who has spun. So I think after some new tires, his tires must be absolutely burning, and Matteo must have had a bit of a spinala on his own thing. But saying that, Shreya does get the Mercedes right now and does go into P3. So very well done from Shreya, and is now going to attack Tozy and I am Brigitte for the lead of the race. So the Renault and the Ferrari powered car versus the Mercedes powered car at the moment. So Justin the racer does know that he's got to go in P4 unless Shreya does make a severe mistake. But really unfortunate for Sainz. Sainz is currently pitting, potentially for some new wing damage and potentially just to get the fastest lap of the race, because at the moment that's all you can really do within that aspect. So Shreya in the Williams is in P3 as Sainz does box and retire from the session. That gives Fropsy up to P16, and that means from 18 finishers you've only gotten about 16 of them, which is pretty good. You know, pretty clean racing for the most part, and pretty professional racing for the most part as well. But currently at the moment Shreya in the last podium position is going to try to make it into the the middle of the podium positions at the moment. Is gaining on Latosi. He's gaining. Is he going to make a move? No, he's not, but he does get the error, so that's a positive sign for Shreya. Shreya might potentially, I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to say the W word because that's a big commentator's curse, but he does set the new fastest lap of this race at the moment. Currently going on board with him in the Williams, and currently being chased by Justin the racer in the Mercedes, so Mercedes on the Mercedes power unit thing. We've currently gotten Shreya going from the Williams to the McLaren, and we haven't seen battles like this since the days of Hill and Prost and Senna. And speaking of this, we haven't seen a straight line of this since another lap, and now Shreya does make that happen, pushes the McLaren a little bit wide, goes into P2 at the moment. So currently chasing down P1. Bit of a 1 second gap, but that gap is currently decreasing, and there's a contact between both the McLaren and the Mercedes, and trying to get them for that last podium position. The Mercedes does fare a bit better than the McLaren does, and I think that's wing damage for the McLaren at the moment. And yeah, that might be as he is running quite wide, and especially with that 3-second time penalty. So Justin the racer is going to probably be given a little bit of a penalty for that, but we will see what happens. We're currently on board with Shreya at the moment in P2. It's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens within this aspect. There's a sector flag. There's a yellow flag in sector 3, and that is Fropsy retiring out of this race. So that means only about 15 finishers within this race. So quite decent from the looks of it, but obviously sad to see those cars go and achieve higher positions. But there is a yellow flag in sector 1, but that is only going to be short-lived, and that's not really going to matter, as we are not really going to see overtake on Shreya, but Justin might potentially fancy that. But currently I'm on Shreya in P2 at the moment, trying to chase I'm Jete in P1, so about 2-second gap at the moment. But those softer compound tires are definitely going to work. But however, the wear, we see Fropsy retire in the grass, weirdly enough, so that's very unusual from the Renault driver, but regardless, might just be to help save the environment and whatnot. But just the racer currently trying to go on the outside, does not make the move work, stays behind him, unless there would have been a dive bomb where I think both of the cars would have ended up spinning within that aspect. But I am Brigitte currently trying to nurse that car back home when the last 3 laps of the race. So it's lap 20, lap 21, lap 22. That last 3 laps of the race currently, and Shrey is trying to get that race W, I guess you could say. And drink some H2O in the meantime while we watch him. Currently as it stands, I'm Brigitte, currently in the lead of this race. All he's got to do is a bit of Pierre Gasly and keep the Williams of Shrey behind him, but Shrey is currently being chased by Justin, so that's a bit of a hindrance to him, but He's scrubbing quite well. He does indeed have the fastest lap of the race, so it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens within that aspect. So there's about a 2 second gap that is kind of munching up quite nicely, and that's going to be soon turned into a 1.9 second gap. But brake as late as you dare, Shrey. Brake as late as you dare, and that is only about a 2 second gap to the car ahead of you. So currently, as it stands, about 2 laps left within this race, about 4 minutes of actual track time, which is going to be extremely interesting. Shrey is getting a little bit tense, especially from Justin right behind him, trying to get his P2 back, and Latozzi trying to also get his P3 back. Will we see a bit of a domino effect happen? Who knows? Potentially, we could see a majority of them spinning out or making contact, but Shrey is feeling under the pressure at the moment as Justin is reading. He's reading. Is he going to go down the inside? Yes, he is, and does claim P2. But for how much longer, Shrey? It doesn't make contact with him, and he has spun, and Shrey has spun into the grass, and against Latozzi in P3. And he that's what you call it, the commentator's curse. Everyone generally goes up into P4 for Ferrari, and Shrey, the man who's going to challenge the man for the lead, has spun with Justin. And again, that's going to be looked with the FI within this aspect. But I am Brigitte, currently leading this race, is more than pleased to know about that. Justin the Racer currently in P2, about a 3 second gap, and Latozzi also trying to claim P2. And Shrey is also potentially got wing damage, a hot set of tires, and just things you just don't really want to have, especially when you're challenging for the lead. But that's what I call commentator's curse right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is extremely unfortunate for Shrey, but did well to get the car back home. But at least did gain some positions. He gained about 5 positions in total. So very well done from him, I would say, and very good effort. But currently, as we start the penultimate lap of Spa-Francorchamps, we're about lap 21 out of 22 at the moment. So I'm Brigitte, about a 2.5 second gap to Justin the Racer. I think he's just gotta mainly worry about defending from the Tozy at the moment, but Justin the Racer obviously speeding through the night, and rather speeding through the day, and as we see all the Belgian fans wave at the moment, and it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens within that. But currently, a little bit of a Justin the Racer is catching up, but potentially with a couple more laps, we could have seen him challenge for the lead of this race as Shreya did. But Shreya does move up into P5, rather stays P5, and does try to get that P4 back, so at least a top 4 finish for the Williams team. But as RR Silent and Larson, we're seeing a lot of last lap overtakes, especially from the Mercedes team. Ooh, contact there from XTTP, and I am furious. That's going to be pretty much a brake test, so XTP has got to maintain that position to make that last points picking position. But I am furious, must be absolutely furious potentially. His wheels damage, and that's going to be a slow puncture for him. But currently, as it stands, leaders at the moment, that I am Brigitte 27, currently in the Alfa Romeo, no damage, and is currently having time of his life. But for how much longer? Justin the Racer is about 2 second gap to him, but we are on the penultimate lap, so there's not really much he can do other than defend from the Toysy, who's currently behind Jonah in P4 at the moment from the Ferrari, and that's Shrey in the Williams trying to get that Ferrari. And the Ferrari and the Williams, much like a historic battle, is happening today, both in real life and was happening in the past with that. But Shrey is looking for a top 4 finish, maybe even a top 3 if a miracle does happen within that aspect. But currently getting DRS on Jonah. Jonah just getting going across the line. And currently we're following I'm Brigitte in the Alfa Romeo this is the last lap and is trying not to scrub, going through Eau Rouge for the final time in the entire grid, and just going through the main straight right now. It's going to be extremely interesting. Low fuel is there. He's just got to maintain from Justin the Racer. Justin the Racer has got to maintain from Latozzi. Latozzi's got to maintain from Jonah. Jonah's got to maintain from Shrey, who's reading. He's reading. Is he going to make a move? No, he's not. And he does indeed make a move. Huge dive bomb, but does make it work. How was there no contact? We don't know. That's got to be highlighted on overtakes of the week somewhere. As Shrey moves up into P4 and is now challenging for P3, but for how much longer, we don't know. Currently at the moment, I am Brigitte 27 is going through sector 2 at the moment, now going through turns 11 and 12, braking quite heavily, but no lockups there, just trying to get that car nursed back home, about a 1.8 second gap to Justin the Racer, so it's looking like a Monza situation, and I am Brigitte did not expect to be in a winning position, but he's putting everything he has into that Alfa Romeo at the moment, and is just going through sector 3 at the moment, going through turns 15, 16, and now turns 17 at the moment. Going through now, 18, 19, brake as lick as you dare. He's got to brake very well right here, and he does go across the start finish line to take the Spa-Francorchamps Grand Prix. He wins the Belgium Grand Prix. Very well done from Ian Brigitte. Justin the Racer comes home P2. Latosi in the McLaren comes home P3, so very well done from the McLarens. Shreya does come home P5, Formula Chris comes home P4 after penalties. RS Silent comes home P7, Larson comes home P8, I Am Furious comes home P9, XCTP comes home P9, I Am Furious is going to be furious about that. Last point spin position for him, SLR NJJ in the Alpha Tauri comes home in P11, just outside of the points, very unfortunate for the Alpha Tauri team, P11. Star Ocean Chief comes home P12. Tild in the Red Bull comes home P13, or rather P11 after all the penalties. Wow, that is a serious jump. Eddie comes home P13. SR NJJ came P14. Shaka rounds off your grid in the Alfa Romeo. One of his teammate won. He is in last place, and that is the Belgian Grand Prix. And the driver today is Formula Chris, so very well done maintaining that P6 position. Currently, as we line up at the podium, we see three of the most successful teams here in Formula 1. Truly a great podium to see with a lot of good finishes. Champagne is being sprayed and the teams are very happy at the moment. Seeing all the flags being represented on the board, and it's truly beautiful. We all love the sport and we all love the feelings it does to us. Well done to all the drivers. So currently at the moment, I Am Brigitte in the Alfa Romeo does take pole position and wins the race. Justin the Racer takes P2, Jonah takes P3 for Ferrari. We've got Formula Chris in P4, Latosi in P5, Shreya in P6. RSL with the fastest lap of the race goes P7, Larson P8, XP in P9, I Am Furious in P10, Tild in P11, SLR Ocean Chief in P12, Eddie in P13. SLR NJJ in P14, Shaka in P15, Feropsi in P16. We've got Sanks in P17 and Wimpy in P18. Rounds up your grid, and that is your rate, and that is your grid for the race. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, this has been Shiv signing out. Have a good one.